Hello everyone and welcome back to the final of the first part of all those Mark Little and Miniature videos. This has got some very small writing on it, but this is a 16-year-old Cadenhead Glenlivet, bottled at 54.3% ABV from an ex-bourbon cask. I do believe this is a single barrel whiskey. Yeah, distilled August 1974, bottled November 1990. Very light colour. So, facts first. Full-size bottle of this last sold on an auction in May 2017 for £310. The whiskey base code for this particular miniature is WB204107, and Whiskey Fun gave it a rating of 72. I've tried this previously. I think 72 is a little harsh. Mine wouldn't be massively different, but I think 72 is a bit harsh. Glenlivet. Huge distillery. One of the three biggest producing distilleries, single malt distilleries in all of Scotland. And a whiskey distillery which all of us in some way have a fond connection to. Whether that was the original Glenlivet 12-year-old, 18-year-old, the old 16-year-old Nadurra, which... God, I miss to this day. I should have bought so many more bottles of that than I did, just to enjoy, because that was just an incredible bottle of whiskey. But to have this as a 16-year-old miniature to compare is quite interesting, because Glenlivet Nadurra 16 was one of the first cask-strength whiskies I ever tried, and it was the cask-strength whiskey that kind of made me get cask-strength whiskey. So I have a little bit of a nostalgic attachment to cask-strength Glenlivet. Even the newer ones, which are non-age statement, they're a lot younger, they're a lot higher in alcohol. They're still quite good. Even the bourbon one's tasty, the sherry one's good. I haven't tried the peated one. I don't even know if they still make them anymore. I do like Glenlivet 12. I think, when you get it on offer in a supermarket for about £30, it's not unbeatable at what it does, but it's very good for the money. And, that typical Speyside, floral, fruity style of whiskey, ideally, no one can really beat Glenlivet for the core expressions. Glenfiddich, for me, they've become a bit wayward in what they're doing at Glenlivet. At Glenfiddich. I don't really understand the process of what they're doing, both from a professional point of view, from a whiskey fan point of view, and from a consumer point of view. I cannot remember the last bottle of Glenfiddich I bought. It would have been a Project 20 years ago when it first came out. And then the other one is Macallan, and obviously Macallan is Macallan, it does what it does. But, Glenlivet of Steadfast, they've done what they do, their core range hits a lot of people's sweet spots. And every now and then they do bring out something a bit unusual and fun, like the 12 Illicit release, which is about 50 quid and was just higher strength and more interesting. I didn't review it, but I got to try a sample and it was very fun. But let's dive into this Cadenhead's pre-Nadurra 16-year-old. Ooh, such a big bouquet of oak on that. The first time I tried this, it was a little bit more dominant with kind of like Haribo, like cherry notes and things like that. Now the oak just seems to be the most dominant thing on it. Some beautiful lemon notes, almost like limoncello. Really, really powerful with like zesty, juicy lemon. There's also this peach thing. Bourbon casks and peach notes are pretty standard. They're always very welcome. I love the smell and the taste of peach. But this, it really sings. You can almost smell like the skin of peach. And again, what Glenlivet do well with teenage whiskey at high strength, it is those big, tropical, juicy flavours. Let's taste it. There's not much happening on the nose outside of those big lemony peachy notes. There's a lot of oak, which considering this is a single cask is a little bit unusual. But it almost comes across, it's oaky and then it almost moves into like desiccated coconut, kind of sponge cake vibes. But overall very sweet, as you would expect. Ooh. Well, that is the first whiskey I've had today, and that is... Ooh, that is hot. That is a spicy little thing. But it does remind you that Glenlivet can do a lot of things which aren't just fruit. The oak influence on the palate is outrageous. It's making my mouth salivate because it's pulled all of the moisture out of my mouth. God, the only thing that gets close to that is that Cavalan Vino Barrique that won Best Whiskey in the World. That was like the driest thing ever. Apologies if you can hear snoring in the background. The dog has decided that now is the opportune time to sleep. The lemon thing is gone. The peach thing is gone. It is replaced with just this big, dominant, oaky, dry style of Glenlivet. If anything, the finish actually reminds me of almost like French white wine. It has this things like Chablis. It's kind of grassy and dry. There's almost like a hay-like note to it. But the powerful thing is that oak cask, whatever oak barrel that was in, whatever number cask it was, I hope Cadenhead still have it. I'm going to do something a bit unusual. I'm going to add a little bit of water, which I shouldn't because the battery on this camera is about to run out because I forgot to charge it. But I'm just intrigued to know if the water will diffuse any of that oak and maybe let something sing out a little bit more. It's not clouded up that much. It's made the lemon a lot more present and it's made the peach stand out. It's almost getting into the scent of things like watermelon, which I've only ever really experienced before with, I can't remember if it was Van Winkle 20 or 23, but one of them had this amazing watermelon note to it. So again, more tropical fruit. So water takes the spice away completely. I may have added a little bit too much, but it does take away a lot of the fun and the impact of this product. Maybe Serge was right, maybe 72 is fairly appropriate. I think on the write-up that I gave to Mark and his team for the website, I think I gave it an 8. I'd probably lower that a little bit now to maybe like a 77, maybe like a 78. There is a lot of sediment in this. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. But there is a hell of a lot of sediment in the bottom of that bottle. I think it's too fine to pick up on camera. But yeah, there's loads of it. And it does look like barrel sediment. It doesn't, I mean, it's even stuck to the sides of the bottle. But yeah, any in the glass? There's a little bit of it in the glass as well. But yeah, the water's taken away all the fun. Like, you know, the influence of the spice and the dryness was like, whoa! Made this whiskey extremely memorable. But yeah, maybe Serge and his team at Whiskey Fun weren't too far off with this. So they get 72. I'd probably drop my original score to maybe like a 75, 76. Lemon and peach are two of my favourite things in the world, but this is very much a very 2-note style of whiskey. 3-note with the oak and the spice. But yeah, overall, let's call it a 75 for the sake of it. But thank you all for watching. And as you all saw in the previous video from last week, there are many more miniatures and vintage whiskey to come. I'll structure that in a way which probably doesn't occupy Whiskey Wednesday as much. Maybe like a sample Saturday, sample Sunday thing, because we do have about 60 of them to get through. So maybe 2 a week. It will take us all the way to the end of the year, perhaps. But yes, I will see you all next week for something else, which is probably very interesting. But yes, have a good week. I'll see you soon. Cheers.